All right, here we go. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. That must be time for another live stream. So let's do it. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com. So if you want to get a hold of me or anything like that, you can get a hold of me, Dan at dansfish.com. You can get a hold of me through Facebook or many other ways. Anyway, hey, welcome, Ringatui, glad you're here, Mr. B's Dank. Hey, it's happening. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm pretty excited. Pretty darn excited. So, I'm going to wait for a few more people to get in here, and then I'll go over all that. I think YouTube might be forcing them to watch a commercial or something, so... Rod S., welcome back. Glad you're here. Welcome. So there's a lot to talk about today. I think it's going to be a pretty fun one. I've got many things to go over. So here's kind of the plan for today. I'm going to talk about some changes in the fish room. I'm going to talk about a real quick update, just two quick items about the getgills.com website. That'll just take a minute. Just want to let you guys know where we're at in our progress of building that site out more. And then the Africa order, that's the main topic of discussion tonight, will be this order from Nigeria that I've been working on forever that's about to happen, I think. So, hey, Bob Kaler, glad you made it this week, Bob. Michael Wilson, hello. Mr. B's Fishing Things. Yeah, that tank, there's some changes to that tank behind me. We'll talk about them in a second. Priscilla. 54 Punchy, hey my Wyoming neighbor, how you doing? So 54, I had to trim those plants again, like those Pogostemon stellatus octopus are just growing like crazy, but that's cool because I had a neighbor that could use them, so they got the clippings, so paying it forward. Reels tanks, I keep wanting to say real thing for you fish tanks. Fish Guru, hey Thomas, Mile High, glad you made it. River Life, hello River Life, welcome. Karen Guppies, hello. River Life, I don't know if you've been here before. If you have, then pardon that I forgot, but if you haven't, welcome to the channel. Good to have you around. Jenny Lynn Moreland, howdy. Tokoman Aquatics, glad you're here. Keith Boardley and Dan Leineck, I'm sure it's Leineck, and Daryl Dimer. So I'm going to get to it. So here's the order today. We'll talk about just a couple changes in the fish room. Then I'm going to briefly talk about two quick updates with the getgills.com website. That'll just take a second. And then I'm going to talk about this order from Africa. So the first thing is, as someone noticed, there's been some changes to this aquarium. I removed the swordtails because I'm trying to consolidate space. So I had another tank with swordtails in it, so I was able to take those swordtails out and put them in there. And that freed up enough room that I could take these Odessa barbs, which are fantastic in person. I'm not quite sure what they're looking like for you guys on the live stream, but in person, these things are glorious. And the Roseline or Denison barbs in here, because those were each taking up one tank. So I was able to free up two tanks by clearing out the swordtails in here to give me some more room for the Africa order. Before we get into the Africa order, I just want to remind everyone, if you're new here and don't know the procedure, if you have a question or comment for me specifically, for Dan's Fish, then please make it at Dan's Fish, and I'll see it, and I'll get right to it. And let's see, your Candy's not here. We'll give Candy a few minutes, see if she shows up. I know she's got a lot going on in her personal life. So if she doesn't show up, then we might mod someone just to keep the stream going. But anyway, at Dan's Fish, I'll see it just like River Life did. First timer, thank you very much. Well, hey, first timer, and you did the procedure naturally. Good on you, River Life. I can tell this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful relationship. Now, right before I talk about the update on the Africa order, I want to show you this. So two quick updates about the website. This is the first one. If you have a store on the website and you go to your items, you can now see how many views each item has had. So Odessa Barbs 3, 8 views on these rainbows, 58 views on the Limia nigrofasciatas, 0 on the tequila, and that makes sense because I no longer have them available, so I removed them. And 17 on the rice, or no, not 17, 5 on the rice fish. So that helps the seller kind of know how their items are doing. So if you have a store on Get Gills and you have items in it, you can now go to them and see how many people are looking at your stuff. So you get an idea of what people are interested in. Or, hey, no one's looking at that item. Maybe I should share it on social media so people see that it's out there. You know, it helps you manage your stuff. So that is the main thing. The other thing that we did is we fixed the metadata on the back end so that when you post to Facebook, if you want to share something you have for sale on getgills.com through Facebook or another social media platform, it collects the metadata and allows you to have images with that post. It allows you to, in certain groups and settings, change the descriptions and things like that in the post so that link you can kind of customize the information that people will see. So hopefully that helps folks that are trying to sell on getgills.com. 54 Punchy, Candy is in Hawaii. Sponsored trip by Make-A-Wish Foundation. Oh man! Well, that makes sense why she's not here. All right. So I'm gonna make someone else a mod. What I want to do is there anyone here who doesn't already moderate 20 live streams and 5 Facebook groups? You know, someone who, I don't want to make someone who's always modding other channels mod again. You know, I want those people to take a break and be able to have some fun. But if you're not already modding lots of places and you want to help out, let me know, and I'll put you in the pool for consideration for a mod. 54 Punchy, I'd love to mod you, but I know you mod like several other channels, and maybe you want a break, you know? I don't know. All right. But that's great. I'm glad to hear that Candy's in Hawaii. That's fantastic. In fact, I'm going to be, there's a fundraising campaign, as you know, I'm sure, for her son, and I just encourage you all, anyone that has a store on Get Gills, I'm, until the end of the year, going to donate 10% of my profits to that cause, and that was sparked, I believe, by Potato Fish. It's on the Get Gills Facebook group if you want to check that out. But if you have a store there and you can afford to, it would be a great thing, I think, if we all chipped in to help Candy out with her son's treatments. So cool. All right, Fish Guru Aquatics at Dan's Fish. I went to the local fish store, hoping, and I saw one of my bucket list fish. Oh, mascara barbs. I just stared at it a while. Have you ever bred them? How difficult is it? I haven't bred them. They're not super difficult. Ted Judy has a video on how to do it. I've kept and bred filament barbs, which are the same genus, different species. Never tried to raise the babies, but honestly, if you separate the sexes, plump those females up, put them together, just like you would any egg scatterer, I don't think that they're going to be difficult for you. Now, again, I never have bred that species in person, so who knows, but I don't think so. And Greg Sage's video on breeding Odessa barbs might be helpful, might give you some ideas. Like all those egg scatterers, you can kind of pick and choose from different people's methods and make your own. But it's just about giving them a place to lay the eggs where they can't eat them. That's the basics. And then the fry are teeny, tiny, so it's getting them started on, infusoria, rotifers, things like that. Mike's Aquatics, I believe is the name. A guy in the UK is breeding tons of different egg scatterers right now, making great content about how he does it. So that would be worth checking out too. But Thomas, I don't think they're a difficult fish to spawn. I don't think they're any more difficult than filament barbs or any of the other ones in that genus. I'm looking here. 54 Punchy says, lol, I don't mind a bit. Okay, 54, I'm going to go ahead and mod you up because you and I have been around the block together a few times, and I know you'll do a great job. So there you go, 54. You are now modded up if I did it right. Let me double check here. Remove moderator. Yeah, you are. Okay, great. So if I have an option to remove you, it must mean that you are one. Perfect. Let's see what I missed here. River Life, mod me. Oh, sorry, River Life, I just modded 54. And, you know, this is like our first date, so let's wait to get to know each other a bit before we hop on the mod train, River Life. Team Aquatics, hello. Bob Kaler, 49 watching. A record? Yeah, I think it could. 50! Woo! Where's like we need like the confetti to fall and like the party, what are those called? Kazoo things? I don't know, noisemakers. Yeah, awesome. That might be a record. So, again, if you have a comment for me, make it @DansFish. Let it populate, select it, and I'll get right to it. But let's move on to Africa. So here's what's going down on the order for Africa. So the collector contacted me, and he said, do you want to receive the fish October 31st or November 1st? And I'm like, well, you might not know this, but in the United States, October 31st is kind of Halloween, so let's do it on the 1st. So that seems to all be in order. So I expect to get the shipment from Africa in on November 1st. Now, I don't control whether that actually happens or not, but that seems to be what's going on. I contacted my Fish and Wildlife representative at the airport. She's down with it. She's all ready to go. I contacted a transship import agent who's a friend of mine. I'm importing them directly on my own license, but this is someone that's imported just so many thousands of fish for years and years. So she's going to go with me and just like make sure I know exactly where to go so I don't wander around the airport like an idiot for 10 hours, you know, trying to find the right spot and find out, oh, that's in the building over there. Denver Airport's pretty big, so it's all set up for November 1st. What I don't have yet is the air bill, so they haven't actually been booked on a flight yet, and then, until that happens, anything could change, I suppose, it's up to the collector, the exporter. But let me go over a list of what we're getting and pictures of what we're getting. So I spent some time today gathering links that I could show you guys so you can see exactly what we're getting in this import from Nigeria. I'm pretty excited about it. So here's the list. Let me just show you pictures of these different species in case you don't know what they are. Let's start with Aphyosemion australe. And let's see, go here. So this is kind of the wild type Aphyosemion australe. It's not a super colorful fish on the body, but has red dots, and then has kind of those red and white bits on the fin, which the orange and gold australe kind of accentuate. But this is the wild form that we'll be getting right here. Or if it's not this, it's something very close to it. This is a chocolate, which is very similar to the wild fish. The bivitatums, now these are going to be spectacular. I already know that, because no matter what species of bivitatum you have, it's spectacular. Lagos, so let's see here, what here is from Lagos? These guys are from Lagos, so that's an example of them. This is from Lagos. So these are just an amazing killifish, amazing finnage. When they display, they're so stunning. A lot of the time they look like this, right? They're just swimming around without flaring and stuff. And they're still pretty, but when they flare, they are absolutely amazing. And they flare a lot if they're healthy and happy. The next one is Aphyosemion caliurum. That's how I'm going to say it. And that is this fish right here. Another beautiful killifish. Not very common in the hobby. You can find australes and you can find bivitatums, but these guys are a little difficult to find. So we're getting a couple hundred of those in. Now this one, Aplocalyptes meyersi, is actually Poropanchax. I just haven't updated the genus here. It was Aplocalyptes like in the 90s or the 80s, but they've updated that. It's a tiny little lampi. And this here, I believe, is the Brochardi, which is a close relative. So I believe this right here is a decent representation of this little lamp-eye, the Poropanchax Myers eye. Although keep in mind, in photos, the glowing eyes, which is what they get the name lamp-eye for, is not going to pick up very well on camera. But these are tiny little guys, maybe an inch, probably more like 3/4 of an inch, kind of like the ember tetras of killifish. Epiplades, and I'm not sure exactly which species I'm getting, but based on where they're coming from, I think it's probably Grami, which is this one. Some other pictures of it are down here. This is from the American Killifish Association's website. So these are surface dweller, like little pikes that sit and wait for insects to fall on the surface of the water, or in captivity, baby guppies to be born and swim up to the surface, and then they pounce on them. So kind of a striated, dotted, a little bit of color on the margins. Of course, each location is very different, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm getting or if that is the species, but I think so. And then Spilachin, this is an old favorite. If you have Jorgen Scheele's book, the kind of the original Rivulus of the Old World, he has pictures of these in there. They're a lamp-eye, so sheen on the body, some yellow and red in the fins, but mainly it's about the eye that glows super bright and does not look good on camera, but looks pretty cool otherwise. Now this one, Macrothalmus, I think is what we currently call Luxophthalmus. So I believe it's going to be more like these guys. Hopefully it's like this guy with the neat little extension on the dorsal fin and the color around the edges. But that's a specific kind of subspecies location. So I'm not sure exactly what it'll be, but it'll be a little lamp-eye, kind of like Norman's killies, which are pretty frequently available, but this is another species in I think the same genus. Now, one of my favorites. But first, alright, just want to give you a break from staring at that. Okay, deep breath, we're going to dive back in. You ready? Okay, here we go. Here we go. So, my favorite lamp-eye of all time is this, Procatopus similis. These are fantastic, they're gorgeous. I've had them before, and they're just stunning fish. They're kind of like the like blue eyes, like pseudomugil rainbow fish, Furcatus and Luxophthalmus and stuff like. Wait, that's a killifish, but the different little blue-eyed rainbow fish. These guys inhabit that same niche in Africa, so they kind of are similar in behavior, active fish. Kind of a shoaling fish, nice colors. My absolute favorite lamp-eye so far. Although I do like the Tanganyikan lamp-eye too, Lamprichthys tanganyikanus. But these guys are small. They might be about 2 inches full grown, maybe 2.5 on a super big male. Easy to keep, friendly little community fish. Neolibius ansorgii. So this is what they call the African neon tetra. Although, as you'll see, it doesn't look anything like that. I mean, I guess a little similar, but it doesn't have the glowing bright blue or green, lateral line on them. But really cool little fish, and truly little. Like 3 centimeters is max size on these guys, so I don't know what that is. It's less than 1.5 inches, I think. Never kept this fish before, always wanted to. And I think the ones I'm getting will look more like the fish on top here than they will the fish on the bottom. But I'm pretty sure it's these guys. But there's many different populations of this fish, so it could be something completely different. But this is the same species, these two fish. At least they think. This one might be a different species, but it hasn't been described as such as of 2012 anyway. Nanocharax latifasciatus. So you'll probably have never seen this before. Not a super colorful fish. Oh, this one has some color on it, a little bit of red and kind of a stripe on it. But what they are is they're like the darter tetras of the African world. So they're a tetra, they're a charasin. So like the hummingbird tetras and darter tetras from South America, these guys inhabit that niche. Let's see if we can get a good picture here. I think that's as good as we're going to get. they inhabit that niche in the rivers in Africa. So very similar fish to the Characidium species, which are what we call darter tetras or hummingbird tetras. Characidium, what is it, fasciatus is the one that you usually see. Characidium rackevi is my all-time favorite, probably bottom-dwelling tetra, but that's hard to get. They're out of Uruguay, and no one really ships from there regularly. So these are the next one. These are the African glass catfishes, basically a see-through catfish. They need to be in groups. They're different from the Asian glass fishes in that they have 4, count them. I'm sorry, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's 2 here that must be facing backwards. I think 8 feelers. Oh yeah, there's one up there and probably one here that we can't see. 8 feelers. In the Asian species that you often see only has 2. So they're a completely different genus. They're as related as like a parrot and a crow. Not very related. But they've adapted to the same niche, and so they look very similar. I'm super excited about those. Those are not a rare fish, but they're one that I like a lot. Now, Pelvicochromis taeniatus, not super rare. You can usually find them if you go to like, specialty shops, but a little harder to find. They're like a Crabinsis type. Super spectacular fish, and I don't know which location I'm getting yet, but it doesn't really matter to me. They're all stunning. But anyway, I'm getting some location of Pelvicochromis. I don't know. These are from Nigeria, and the ones I'm getting are from Nigeria. So maybe it's these, although I bet that in Nigeria there's probably 1,000 different rivers with their own kind of strain or location of this fish. But those are coming. And then 2 more, and we'll get back to not staring at a screen. This is another cichlid, Chromidotilapia gunthri, and I found this article on them. It's hard to find information on them. Ouch, that looks like it hurts. But there's some pictures here that I think are, there aren't a lot of pictures of these fish, and the ones that there are look like stressed out brand new imports. So it took me a while to find some of fish that look like they'd settled in. I think this is breeding condition with the bright red belly. They're a mouth brooding species. Anyway, I'm excited to get those. Basically what these are the geophagus of Africa. So they're an earth eater that is adapted to the same niche as the geophagus have down in South America. And like the geophagus, they're a mouth brooder. Last one, and these guys are awesome. I don't know why they're not in the hobby more. You can get them anytime. You just can never find them in the United States. But they're common in Africa. This is Brycinus longipinus, and these guys are absolutely stunning. So they're basically a form of Congo tetra, if you will, with the they don't have the trident fin, but they have the long dorsal, kind of striking tetra. I think a school of these swimming around together would look spectacular. So now these come from many, many different locations as well. I don't know what the location is of the one I'm getting, but it's a fish I'm really excited about. I've seen pictures of them. I've maybe seen one at a public aquarium, but I've never seen them in a pet store or in a hobbyist fish tanks. So yeah, I'm excited. So that's what's going on, and hopefully November 1st. I mean, man, it better be. So I spent the last several days just moving fish around to clear up tanks because I had fish in the tanks to keep them cycled while I was waiting for this order to get processed. And then, so now I have tons of empty tanks, and I filled those tanks up with scuds so that they can keep the tank cycle going while there's no fish in there. So, and also populate so that when the fish are put in there, they've just got all this live food waiting for them. One of the best ways to acclimate fish, in my opinion, is just put them in a live food culture, and they'll be super happy. So I've been working really hard to get the fish room in shape for that. I made a video where I showed you guys this. I made 17 new fruit fly cultures so that I could have a ton of live food ready for them. because especially these killifish, they're not going to be used to flake food or pellet food or rapashi or anything like that. So I don't want them to get here and then have gone through the stress of being caught in the wild and exported to me and put in my tanks, and then not have a food that they recognize. Like the first couple days, I want to be like, no, eat, like recover. You've had a long trip, and then I'll start trying to transition them and stuff after they're medicated. So I bought a whole bunch of containers to start a bunch of new microworm cultures, because a lot of these fish, 2 of them at least, are Poropanchax type species, and they're under an inch. So having microworms will be a good food for them, baby brine shrimp, things like that. So a lot of prep going on in the fish room right now, but I can't wait to film this unboxing, provided it actually comes through, which it should. So anyway, that's the update in depth of the Africa order. November 1st is, I think, when it's going to happen. So let me scroll up and see the chat that I missed. All right. So yeah, for those that don't know, you'll see that 54 Punchy now has mod powers, which is fantastic. Mile High Pluckos, you have to drive past my house to get to Denver Airport. Yeah, so Mile High and Priscilla, and also I'll reach out to Greg Sage. The bad part of this coming in November 1st is the day before is Halloween. So I don't know if people are going to be free or not, but depending on the time of the flight, and I don't know that yet, but as soon as I know when the flight is, I'll be contacting you guys to see if there's a chance that maybe I could swing by, see your fish rooms, we could just meet up and chat. So I might drive down Wednesday morning, so the morning of Halloween, and see if I can do some of that. But I don't know if you guys like work during the day and then have Halloween plans that evening. That might be a little tough, but that's where my mind's at. So yeah, I'm excited about this. 54 Punchy. Okay, I can see more tanks in my future. Yeah, I hope so. I hope that order is exciting. There's going to be a lot of stuff there that I've only seen in like an aquarium magazine every now and then, or something like that, or at a public aquarium. So I'm excited to get some of this stuff in and see if we could spread it around the hobby. All right. Scrolling down to see what else I missed. Oh, not much. All I see is that John went off to get his pizza. Peace out. All right. Cool. So, let's see here. I'm sure there's stuff down here for me that wasn't made at Dan's Fish, so let me take a look. Mile High. Priscilla's the devil in disguise. Is it a disguise, though? Is it? Otter Creek. Hey, welcome, Otter Creek. Glad you made it. For those that don't know, Otter Creek has a store on getgills.com, and you can check out some stuff there. I believe plants right now, if I remember right, for sale that Otter Creek has. Reels tanks. When I think of fish for Africa, I was not thinking killifish. Oh, I do. They're the first thing I think of when I think of Africa, as far as fish goes. And then, of course, the Rift Lake cichlids pop in my head. But yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Otter Creek is catching up on the content. Well, there's a lot of it, so hopefully keeps you busy and entertained for a while, Otter. Bob, how do we talk off of YouTube, says Mile High. Yeah, when... all I know is YouTube. What's outside of that? Reese tanks, I think I need to start building racks. Yes, you do. It's pretty easy to do. My little kids helped me. They can do it. I've got a video on building racks if you want to check it out, and you'll see like my at the time, how old were they? Like, I don't know, 9 and 7-year-old helping out. So if the kids can handle it, you got this. You got this, James. All right. I saw some stuff. Hang on. I'm finding it. So, 54, what are you talking about that you've got growing out here? Is that your, hang on, I'll find it. Oh, the 182. So you got some plecos growing out. Awesome. That sounds great. That sounds awesome. Dan Linick is going to get in touch with Mile High to get some plecos. Cool. So that's where I'm at, if you're wondering. Bob Kaler. Actually, before I do that, I saw someone... Oh, ACH Aquatics. Will you be doing an unboxing video when they come in? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm not going to pass that up. In fact, I'll probably take y'all on the trip. Show you the kit I take when I go pick up fish from the airport. There's some items I like to have with me just to be prepared because stuff can go wrong. And I'm going to have to rent a car because 9 big old boxes of fish... there's like close to 2,500 fish coming in this order, and so that won't all fit in my little Honda Accord. So I'm gonna have to go rent a car, drive down there, hopefully stop by Mile High and Priscilla and maybe Greg Sage and stuff like that, and see some fish rooms and stuff, and take you all on that video. And then yeah, I'll if I can, depending on regulations and if the Fish and Wildlife are cool with it, I'll show some stuff there at the airport. They might not be cool with it though, so yeah, I'll take you on the journey, and then I'll definitely have an unboxing video, or 10. I mean, there's a lot of content in that, so for sure. Bob Kaler, will you still have rainbow fish? Those you posted today are very nice. Yeah, I've still got a few. I've got like 6 of the Irian Reds, which some folks here have gotten from me and have been happy with, so I think people like those. The Trifasciatus, I think I've got maybe 15 of those in that tank. Those are the ones I posted today. I made a video of. And so I might still have those. There's a local biology teacher who said he might come by and get them. So it just depends on who orders them first, really. And then I've been selling some of these Parkinsoni rainbows behind me. So I don't know how long I'll have those. I've still got the Wapoga Red Lasers breeding, so I have those. So I'll have a few. I think, Bob, the next rainbows I get, there's some I'm missing that I really like. So depending on how many tanks this Africa order takes, if there's some room, I think I'll get some threadfin or featherfin rainbows because I just love them. I like the Pseudomugil fricatus. I like the pygmy rainbow. I like the small guys. So yeah, those are on the list to get. So I will, Bob. It just depends on how much space this Africa order actually takes. And if it takes all my space, then how quickly I sell and have tanks available. But I like rainbow fish. I always have. By the way, I want to talk about this a little bit. I hear on live streams a lot and in forums, that was years ago, on social media and things, people talking about it's outrageous how much rainbow fish cost and we got to do something to make them lower the cost. And I want to tell you why they cost so much. Maybe people aren't aware of this. So there's 2 things. One is that they're an inefficient, labor-intensive fish to breed in any kind of quantity, and I'll go into that in a minute. And 2 is that they grow super slowly. They're not a fast-growing fish. Put those things together and you have a fish that costs a lot. Let me explain this. So if I'm at a fish farm, which is where most of the fish that are, cost efficient come from, they're being farmed in massive numbers. That's why they're cost efficient. And I breed, let's take a really common fish that's bred all the time. Let's take a tiger barb. In fact, there's a reason that black skirts or white skirt tetras and tiger barbs and zebra danios were the first fish that became glowfish. It's because they're super easy to reproduce in massive numbers. They're not labor intensive, and they grow really quickly. So they're very profitable, easy to farm and raise in large quantity fish. That makes them cheap. and ideal for those glowfish folks, right? So if I have a Danio or a tiger barb or a skirt tetra, all I have to do is put 10 pairs or trios, reverse trios usually, together in their own little tanks. And within 2 days, I can have thousands of eggs. Okay, so if I'm a fish farm, I might put 50, 100 pairs together. Within a few days, I've got enough eggs and probably wrigglers to stock my pond and grow them out. And then I can remove those and put the next species in. Put in a bunch of Danios, same thing. Then put in the tiger barbs, same thing. So if you're a fish farm, the cheap fish are the ones that they can throw into a breeding system and very quickly get a ton of eggs, right? And then just grow them up enough to put them in the pond to grow out. That's the system. That's the efficient system. Not a lot of labor involved, and it's a quick turnaround, and it doesn't clog up your breeding area. You can rotate species through there, okay? And then those fish grow fast. So in a couple months, if you feed them a lot and give them, a pond where there's tons of food and space and things, in a couple months or so, you can sell them. So it's not labor intensive, quick profit. That's what makes them cheap, right? Rainbow fish are totally different. They're very labor intensive. You have to put mops in there. You have to collect the mops out. You have to do all these things to get a substantial number of rainbow fish eggs. It's labor intensive. And then, so because of that, there's a higher cost associated with that production. And then the other thing is that they grow super slow. So it's not like these barbs and stuff where in a couple, 3 months, 2 to 3 months, depending on how they're kept and how much they're fed and things, 2 months is fine, oftentimes for a lot of fish. They're big enough to start selling to wholesalers or to pet stores, depending on their business model. Rainbow fish, it could take 6 months. And then, and here's the other thing, and then they're still not going to be colored up. That could take a year before they get really big and bright and colored. So that's the reason rainbow fish cost a lot. It's not because the fish farms or the producers and things like that are saying, and there's a third aspect I'll get to in a sec, are saying, hey, we're going to charge a ton for these fish and make a ton of money on them. Although, they're there for profit. It's because to make the margin that they need, which is the same margin I assume that they make on their other species, or maybe it's an increased margin to compensate for the labor costs and things. But in order to make the margin, they have to sell them at a higher price because the labor cost is more and the turnaround time is greater. And then the third thing is there's no place set up to export them from the wild. So South America, there's these businesses that'll go out and collect tons of, cardinal tetras or tons of whatever, right? And ship them to the United States. And so we get wild fish for fairly inexpensive. There is no operation that's set up commercially that's reliable in Papua New Guinea. And so there is no way to get big quantities of wild fish into the hobby. So that makes the cost more. And then in Australia, it's just plain illegal to ship out of. So those are, I think, the two main reasons, plus a little third reason in there of no wild exports in any kind of substantial regular numbers that keep rainbow fish prices high. So I don't think that they're going to come down very much just because even the cheapest rainbow fish, neon dwarf rainbows, probably just about the cheapest, is still quite a bit more expensive than like a tiger barb or a Danio. And it's just because of that stuff. So what got me on that? I don't remember. Oh, Bob's question about rainbow fish. Yeah. Sorry about the tangent, but I've been thinking about that, and it's been a question that's been raised enough, it seems like, in the community that I just wanted to jump on that, and hopefully that was informative and not too boring. Water Wizard, well, welcome back. Still love the rainbow shiner on your thumbnail there, or your profile picture, I guess. Any news on Lumpy Dog? Oh yes, so Lumpy Dog's fine. He got a hold of me. He's doing great. He's just in a crazy time in his life right now, he says. And so I think when things calm down, he'll rejoin the community. But I think just stuff in his life is, ultimately this is a hobby, and when other stuff has to get done, it's got to get done. And I don't have the details. I don't know exactly any more than I just told you. But the good thing is he's okay. So I was pretty worried about him for a while, but he's fine. Dan Linick, at Dan's Fish, but it still didn't highlight. But that's okay, I saw it. When you drilled all your tanks, you rented a drill from who again? I rented it from Gemco. Let me just bring up that website and show it to you. Great place. So I ordered it from these guys. Now, I will say, though, that since then, I've drilled a lot of tanks without the drill press, and it's been just fine. Mostly fine. Not quite as fine. Mostly fine. So if you only have a couple tanks to do, or a few tanks, I wouldn't worry about the drill press. But if you have a lot of tanks to do, then yeah, get the drill press. The other thing that I found, though, is that I didn't like the expensive bit that I got from Gemco very much, honestly. I got it because I thought it would be better. I talked to John. He thinks they're better. He had good rationale for it. But comparing that to the cheap, Home Depot bits I can get, I like the Home Depot ones better. They just seem to, I don't know, they seem to work better for me. Oh, Bob, hey, thank you, Bob, for the super chat. $20, bam. Thanks, Bob. Always generous. Thanks for the rainbow information and the update on Lumpy Dog. Relieved to hear it. Let's get this party started. Okay, now we can start. Raise your glasses. Here's to Bob Kaler and his super chats. All right. Party started, Bob. Reels tanks. I have built racks before in the 80s. In fact, one of my... showing your age, Bob. One of my 50 gallons was in a rack. I watched it. Okay, cool. Hey, so I heard... So Real Thing got a pair of angelfish from me a little while ago, and they spawned, like last week we learned about that. And then today I found out that they are free swimming, right? So how many do you have? How they doing? Just to put it out there, microworms, they love. Their bellies will get swollen and white. Vinegar eels, same thing. If you can hatch baby brine shrimp, that's great. And then mine quickly learned to eat rapashi too. So that's kind of how I got them started. But I'm excited, James, about your spawns, so let us know how they're doing. How many did you get? What's the setup? All that stuff. Question about green phantom plecos, and I'm not the guy to answer that. That's more like a Mile High or maybe a Bob Kaler can answer that, because I don't have a lot of experience with them. Oh, I want to say this too. Next Wednesday, while I'm thinking about it, is Halloween. So we're not going to have a live stream next Wednesday, and hopefully I'll be on my way to Colorado next Wednesday, so that I'm hopefully picking up the African import. But either way, if I'm not on the road, I'll be out trick-or-treating with my kids. So no live stream this on Halloween, but there will be the next Wednesday. So while I'm thinking about it. Dubrex21. I've just finished a water change on a secret setup. Oh, gold rams, not secret anymore. I've been doing water changes every 2 days. I was getting 5 young and have already got 1 paired off. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. The secret golden ram setup. That's. I hope that they do well for you. I think, in my experience, I've seen them spawn in pet stores and stuff. So I think that if they're happy and it's warm, and they'll probably be good to go. So I hope you get good production out of them. I do want to say, for anyone that's looking for rams, Joe Gargus, he's kind of a hero of mine, and the Aqua Research Center. Joe has captive bred rams, golden and blues, and he's got discus and severums and blue acaras and all kinds of stuff that he's been captive breeding in his fish room for a long time. So these aren't fresh imports. These aren't transshipped out of big Asian farms or anything like that. These are bred right here in the United States, and he doesn't introduce new fish into his system often, and when he does, they're wild fish. So he doesn't have a lot of those problem diseases you can get from the big fish farms. Now, I buy from fish farms all the time, so I'm not saying don't do that, but it's a huge advantage when you don't have to worry about Aeromonas or a lot of these diseases that are just all over the fish farms and are coming in no matter what anyone does. It just can't be avoided. So Aqua Research Center at getgills.com. Awesome captive bred rams, discus severums, acaras, stuff like that. And the guy's been doing it forever. I totally vouch for him. He knows his stuff. So just to throw that out there. Fish Guru. I found some baby. Oh wow, they had babies? I thought you just had a male of the murder guppy. Balloon socks, Belizanus, is that right? I don't know. Sounded a little dirty. And a member of my fish club is going to try to head to Florida to catch some, so I'll probably be getting some of them, assuming they don't eat each other. Yeah, that's the big assumption with that fish, right? But that's awesome. Belonisox. Belizane. I think it's Belizanus. Belizanus, probably. Belizanus. I don't know. Hey, Prolific Breed. Glad you made it. How's everything going? I hope things are going well. Mile High. What else is in the tank? So Mile High is helping Otter Creek out with the green phantom pleco issue, which I just don't know that much about. Okay, I see an @DansFish comment here, or I did. Then it went away. Okay, Bob Kaler. Still waiting on my Goldie Eye 6 weeks. That is horrible, Bob. I'm so sorry. I remember when you got him, and we were like all excited, and I've been like checking out your channel, waiting to see the unboxing and everything. But man, I hope you get him soon. I know LRB's got stuff he's trying to figure out with that, but 6 weeks, that's a long time. I'm sorry. I got 7 Scyphia multipunctata from Andrew today. Cool, beautiful fish. For those that don't know what that is, this is worth a little show off. Scyphia multipunctata. Is that, Bob, is that the one they call the Black Prince? I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember for sure. But here it is. Cool fish, really neat patterns, interesting fins on these guys. I've always thought this fish was pretty cool. So yeah, little live bearer, Godiad type. So that's awesome, Bob. Made the trip fine and begged for food all evening, so I had bloodworms and bug bites tonight. That's great. That's great. I'm glad you got them, and I'm glad they're doing good. I can't wait to see video of them having babies for you. And yeah, that'll be fantastic. So we'll be checking your channel out probably as soon as I'm done here, Bob, to see if you've got an unboxing yet, or if not, maybe tomorrow. I don't know how quickly you can get your videos turned around. Terry's Tropical Tanks, @DansFish. What do you mean by reverse trio? So Terry, a trio is a male and 2 females. Reverse trio is 2 males and a female. And when you're breeding a lot of the egg scatterers, Danios, Tetras, Barbs, things like that, it often helps to have more males than females. You don't have to. You can breed just pairs. But when there's a few or even a group of males that want to spawn, there's more success. There's something about the group activity that stimulates the spawning process. And in the wild, they breed in mass. They breed in big groups. A lot of them, not all of them. Like there are species that, tetras even, that'll, the male will claim a cave and the female will lay the eggs in the cave and all that. But in general, when you're breeding egg scatterers, more males than females is good. So reverse trios is kind of like the starting point for that. Chef Hannibal. Hey, Chef. Yum, yum. When you built your racks, see, every time I see Chef Hannibal, I just think of Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal Lecter and cannibalism. I don't know if that's intentional. I bet it is. But when you built your racks, how much space between the top of the bottom rack and the next shelf? I am looking to see if I have a measuring tape on the desk here so I can answer that. I don't. But what I will say is it's a 75-gallon tank, and there is 10 inches at least, it might be 12, 10 to 12 inches between the top of the 75-gallon tank and the bottom of the lumber for the next rack. If that makes sense. So one thing I've done in past fish rooms is I've made that mistake of trying to cram tons of tanks vertically, and I'm like, oh, I can work in 6 inches. No, not really. I mean, you can, but it's not very pleasant. If they're 5.5-gallon tanks or something that aren't very deep, maybe that's okay because you don't have this big net you're using. But in a 75-gallon tank, a 20-gallon tank even is high enough that, man, a good 8 inches just is a lot nicer than not having the space. So I can like get my head and shoulders and everything through there without any problem. So I would recommend more. Like if you're like, well, I could get the fourth row of 10 gallons vertically, the fourth stacked up there. If I just cut it down to 6 or 4 inches between, I'm telling you, I promise you, you'll regret that decision. Get rid of it. Just make it 3 high and give yourself plenty of room. If that's the thing you're trying to figure out. But mine are 75 gallons, so they're kind of big tanks. I need big nets and things, so I went with, I think it's 10, it might be 12 inches, and I'm sorry I don't have a tape measure on me right now. I usually do, so it's a little weird, but at least I don't see one. Mr. B's, late here in my neck of the woods night, everyone. Good night. Thanks for staying up with us. Hope you have pleasant dreams. So for those wondering where I am, I just got to Bob Kaler's very generous super chat of $20. Thanks again, Bob. Really appreciate it. Twin City Guppies, hey! Kang Lee, welcome. Welcome, Kang. I'm glad you're here. So, Kang, word on the street is that your guppies are just the best ever. So that's what everyone who saw them at the Aquatic Experience is saying. So good on you, man. Good on you. And I love the website. I check it every now and then. And yeah, I think you're doing a great job. So keep on keeping on, man. And I'm glad you're here. Hangar77 at Dance Fish. Hi, Rosie Barb Fry are doing great. Awesome. Have about 50 soon. I'll set up a 20-gallon for them to grow up in. Cool. That sounds amazing. I'm glad they're doing well. I thought they were golden barbs for some reason. I must have got that in my head wrong. So, good. 50 is not a bad haul for a small egg scatterer that accidentally spawned, right? If I remember the story right. I could be confusing you with someone else. Sometimes that happens. But if I remember right, that was the story. So good on you. So let me ask this, Hangar. Could you kind of just tell us what you kept them in, what food you started them on, kind of what the setup was like, so anyone else that's trying to breed an egg scatterer just can learn from your experience. I would like to know that too. Egg scatterers they can be a little difficult to get going because they're so small at the start, right? Again, Mark's Aquariums or Mark's Aquatics, I think, or Mark's Fish Tanks, the guy in the UK, he does great videos on how he raises live food for his tiny little egg scatterers and things. So great resource there. But Hangar, I'm just curious how you did it. Real Tanks, skipped on me. This chat. Anyone that's done a live stream, you know what I'm talking about. I guess I'm over 200 free swimmers. That is great. Cool. That's a lot of little platinum baby angelfish. I'm glad to hear that. Did you let the parents raise them kind of naturally, or did you separate them? I'm just going to go out on a limb here and guess with that many successfully free swimming, you probably separated them. But just curious if you don't mind sharing. And what did you start them on? Did you start them on microworms or brine shrimp, or did you find prepared food that worked for you? But 200's great. Man, I'm sorry. My kids are upstairs playing around, apparently jumping off the bed onto the floor. That was loud. Twin Sweetie Guppies. Dan, what is your favorite substrate for plants? Got some cool plants and want to farm them out. Oh man, Kengli, I am so not a good plant guy. I wish I could answer that, but the best I've found is just like pea gravel. But I'm not the guy. This is like my only planted tank. This tub, what is this called? Trough here, has gravel in it, like pea gravel from Home Depot. And then this is just Home Depot play sand. Like that's as complicated as I get. So I hardly do any plants. In most of my tanks, they're bare bottom tanks. And I just have like some floating water Sprite because I can't kill it. And it really helps the fish feel comfortable and controls nitrite and ammonia. And Java moss because fish love it. And I can't kill that either. So I'm not the right guy to ask that. So for me, Home Depot pea gravel and play sand, man, every time. $4 a bag, I'm there. For those that don't know or are new to the channel, if you want me to respond to a comment, if you have a question or a comment that you would like me to see and respond to, if you make it at Dan's Fish, so type in the @ symbol and then start typing DAN and it'll populate and you select that. It'll highlight and then I can jump right to it. If I haven't got to your question or comment, I'm not ignoring you, I promise. I just didn't see it. So please repost it and I will get to it. And 54 Punchy, if you see any stuff that I'm missing that didn't highlight for me or whatever, if you could call my attention to it, that would be fantastic. Oh, and thank you, 54 Punchy, for posting the getgills.com site. So for those that don't know, getgills.com is a new website that I launched. My brother and I are partnered building this sucker, and it's a place for anyone to sell their fish or buy their fish. The purpose is that in aggregate, we're stronger. So one thing I found with my Shopify store was that the number of species I could carry, I'm just a guy with a basement fish room, 30, 40 species wasn't enough to attract a lot of traffic. But if I post at getgills.com and lots of other people do that have a few fish to sell or even lots of fish to sell, it doesn't really matter. We can build something that has enough draw that we get a lot of traffic. So that's kind of the purpose. So if you have fish to sell, that you have a fish room or a few tanks and you produce some stuff, please feel free to post it on getgills.com. It's free to post on there. There's a small percentage, 5%, that we take if you make a sale and get paid through the site. That keeps the site, that's to keep maintaining the site and improving it and keep it alive, basically. But you don't pay anything until something actually sells. So there's no like monthly fee or anything like that. And I did have a question. For those that are familiar with getgills.com, I want to ask you a question. So that's all my stuff. So we made this the new landing page, and I'm wondering if you guys like that better. This was the old landing page, and it's pretty cool, but sometimes it gets like a lot of pages of like dry goods and stuff before you see any fish, and there's nothing wrong with that. We want to support the dry goods and things, but this is kind of like the newest item posted just goes to the top. And so if you got here for the first time ever, my fear was that if you landed in the middle of, I don't know, let me see if I can find an example. I don't know if I can, but in the middle of if all you saw for the first page was mostly dry goods, that you would be like, I thought this was for fish, and like not be happy. So we changed it to category, hoping that way it'd be clear that, okay, there's fish here, there's food here, there's books, there's dry goods, there's all this stuff. But I'm curious what you guys think. Do you like the new landing page, or did you like the old one better? And we're working on even a better landing page system, but before we do that, we're gonna finish building out a new shipping system that's a lot more flexible. That's where most of our time and energy is going right now. But I'm just curious about that landing page, what you think about it. Okay, Let me get back to stuff. Twin City Guppy says, I have Eco Complete, never tried ADA, and was just wondering if I should go that route or try something new. Yeah, I stick by my recommendation. Pea gravel from Home Depot, $4 a bag. I don't know. Someone here that keeps plants and propagates lots of plants. Could you chime in and let Ken Lee or Twin City Guppies know what you think, what your experience is? Because I just don't know. Yeah. PJ Bailey, are the killies you are getting annual fishes? I have zero experience with killifish. No, the ones I'm getting are all non-annual species. So they can incubate the eggs in the water. They don't live in areas that dry up. They live more like in streams and permanent bodies of water. So they're not annual. Although annual species can be really easy too. They aren't necessarily harder. It's just there's an extra step, which is put in a little container of peat moss, take it out occasionally and dry it out, and wait a couple months before you dry it. I mean, that's basically the difference. And annual killifish don't last as long, but they last longer than you think. The aquarium doesn't dry up, and so they don't die as quickly as you think. There's this misconception that annual killifish don't last long in the aquarium, and they don't last as long as a lot of fish, but you'll get over a year out of a lot of them. Some you won't. There's a couple that are super quick, but like Furzeri, I believe, is the one. It's the quickest growing vertebrate in the world. They have 2 dry seasons, and so it rains, there's water for a few weeks, and then it dries up. There's a dry season. Then it rains again, so they have 2 dry seasons, 2 wet seasons each year. So those fish don't have long to grow and reproduce. So that one won't last as long, but a lot of them will last for a while. Water Wizard says Skiffias are amazing. Oh, and he has a video on them. Cool, check it out. All right. Scrolling down to see if there's more at Dan's Fish stuff, and there is. Let me just get to them here. All right. Hey, Bob. Steenfot. Glad you're here. Hope you're recouped from from the aquatic experience. I saw your live stream. I caught your live stream today. I watched the replay on that. Seems like it was like you're never going back. But you said that before, so I don't know if I believe you. Mile High Plecos at Dan's Fish. Dan's Fish ignores me all the time. Sorry, but hey, highlighted there. You figured it out. Good. You know, some people are just easier to ignore. I don't know what to tell you. No, I'm kidding. It's never on purpose. With all the super chats you've done for me, Mile High, it's never on purpose. Trust me. Reels Tanks. I pulled the pair, started with microworms, and ground extra fine flake food. So that's how Real Thing raised his mega batch of baby angelfish. After the pair spawned, he pulled them, and then he just raised them right in the breeding tank. Cool. And if I remember right, that's like a planted tank with gravel, and they spawn on a piece of wood on the bottom, right? If I remember right. So nothing like not a special setup, just right there in the parents' normal old fish tank. Good. Fish Tropic, welcome. I missed Jeff's stream. Well, there are going to be severe repercussions, man. That's what replays are for. I miss a lot of streams just because get busy, but plenty of ways to catch up on those. Hangar77, I discovered them when I was gravel vacuuming. Once I collected them, I put them... So this is how Hangar bred the barbs. Once I collected them, I put them in a hang-in and floating breeder boxes. Fed them first bites and growed up sea chem chlorella. Great. So you didn't even need live food, and they raised up for you. That's how easy that fish is. That's awesome. Just one more follow-up. Is the breeder box one of those with the tube coming up with fresh air kind of bubbling in constantly? Or was it just like a net breeder or something? Dan Linick, the wrench of power. Yes, 54, you wields it well. Bob Kaler at Dan's Fish. Yes, nice improvement. It was nice to log in and see it. Okay, so you like it. Cool. Wonder what other people think. Thomas is getting distracted by flower horns. I know. Those flower horns are looking good. So Flower Horn Supply created a store and started posting on there. If you're in the market for some really good quality flower horns, check them out. Check them out. All right. Fish Guru is voting for Eco Complete. It's the devil. Hangar77, working on a video showing my setup. Cool. Cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'll just wait for the video then. That'll solve all my questions. All right. Well, we have reached 8:05. It's been an hour and 5 minutes, so I think what we'll do is in a couple minutes we'll shut her down. But if anyone has any questions or comments that they want to get out there today and want to get talking about or get an answer to or whatever, now's the time, because we've reached the bottom of the chat, and so we'll shut it down in a few minutes here. All right, cool. So while we're kind of finishing here, I just want to do a thank you. Before I do that, just a reminder: no live stream on Halloween. I'll either be on the way to Denver to pick up the import from Africa, which, oh gosh, it better come. It better come. Or I'll be trick-or-treating with my kids. So this coming Wednesday, no live stream, so it'll be the following Wednesday. So the next one will be on November 7th. Holy cow, this month is like done. That's crazy. I want to thank everybody that participated. If you asked questions or chatted or whatever and made this stream entertaining and lively in any way, thank you so much. For those that chimed in to help other people, like Mile High with Otter Creek's questions and things like that, thank you for helping the other community members out. 54 Punchy, thank you for modding. Appreciate it. Just jumped right in. I really appreciate you doing that. Anyone that's lurking, I get you. I lurk all the time. You're good. And Bob Kaler, thank you so much for the generous super chat. It all helps. It all helps keep this facility going, keep the Get Gills website operating, and all that stuff happening. So I really appreciate it. Otter Creek. Otter Creek. Apparently I can't say creek anymore. Otter Creek Aquatics. That's what happens when your mouth combines creek and aquatics. Otter Creek Aquatics. Did you ever see my baby pandas? Could you guess how old it is? So I didn't. I tried a couple times and then I couldn't find the one. You replied and told me which video it is, and I've just been too busy. But I will do it. I'm gonna check that video out, and I'll know next time. So Otter Creek had some panda cories breed for him. And he's got some video of some of the babies. So apparently there's a live stream called the Panda Cory Spawned, or Baby Pandas, or something to do with Panda Cories at Otter Creek. I did it again. That's going to be my kryptonite. Otter Creek Aquatics channel that I'm going to check out later if anyone else is interested. Hangar77. I do manual changes, but it is the pump type. Scroll up to see about the gravel. Okay. Oh, I missed one. Sorry, just give me a sec. Oh yeah, vacuuming the gravel. Yep. Cool, and I look forward to that video, Hangar. See how you do it. Taco. There I am, all excited to say Taco Man Aquatics, and I can't. Taco Man Aquatics. Going to check out some of your other content. Great stream. Well, thanks. And yeah, the channel's there. Check it out. Hope you like it. If you do, stick around. If you don't, there's plenty of other YouTubers. No worries. But glad you're here. Thanks for coming by. Carbon Really. Good night, everyone. Well, good night, Carbon Really. And Hangar. Then I started up baby brine shrimp, and they really started to grow. Yeah, for sure. I mean, once you get them on live food, that's when they all take off. All right, well, thanks again, everybody. 54 Punchy, I have a half dozen peppered cories I wasn't expecting. Yeah, those Corydoras paleatus, they spawn like crazy. All right, so thanks again, everybody. Appreciate you being here. No live stream next Wednesday, but November 7th, we will be. 54 Punchy, thanks again for jumping in. And everybody, I think that's it. JH Aquatics, hey! Welcome. Sorry I didn't see you earlier. And we're shutting it down. So we'll catch you next time. Until then, have a good one, and I'll talk to y'all later.